G'day everyone, you're watching the Sydney City Space Slugs. We're coming to you live with another Shatterpoint game. This time is going to be the top 4 of the TTS League that is currently going on. The match that we have today is going to be Morgan up against Olek. Olek, of course, was my co-commentator for the last round, and Morgan was who we were watching play up against Aman. So today's going to be a fantastic game, and this is, of course, going to determine one half of who will go into the final. And we've got a real classic match. It's very dark side versus light side today, and that's something that we haven't really seen on stream before, so that's going to be nice and thematic and very cool indeed. So up on Morgan's side, we have Darth Vader, Jedi Hunter, Django, we have the ARF Troopers, we have Maul, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi out of hiding, and the Bounty Hunters as well. And I'll just bring up Morgan's roster, just so when we move around we can still find exactly what's happening. There you go. So that's Morgan on the side. And then, of course, for Olek, he's been rocking a lot of Mace Windu stuff lately, and that trend will continue. So we've got Mace Windu, Commander Pons, the ARF Clone Troopers, Queen Amidala, Sabe, the Royal Bodyguard, and the Naboo Royal Handmaiden. So I'll bring up his roster on the side as well for you. Okay, and thanks again to everyone who's tuning in. We're fairly interactive, so if you guys have any suggestions or any questions or queries or just comments, please let us know. Also, let me know who you're rooting for as well. Always interested to know where our loyalties lie. So this is another new map on the TTS mod. It's quite nice and balanced. So just to let everyone know where the ingress points are, we have an ingress point sort of in the deployment zone and ingress points leading up to the central objective as well. So nice and balanced there. Bit of line of sight blocking terrain, and some ways that you can sort of maintain control of an objective while being out of line of sight. So just giving some options to our players. Okay, and just in terms of who first player is, I believe our first player is Morgan. So he'll be going first, trying to maintain control of struggle number 1, and there we will have it. If you have any suggestions in terms of how you'd like us to view the board, please don't hesitate. Sort of might try and show the dice, might try and show the character conditions, etc. And I can just try and, give you an update of the flow of the game as well. Okay, so let's have a look at what's happened. We've had Darth Maul positioned sort of on the bottom left-hand side of the screen here, and then Olek has decided to counter Maul with Mace Windu. Now, of course, who Mace Windu is bringing in the squad is important. We've got CT-411 Commander Pons and the ARF Troopers. And I think the reason that that's important is because one of Maul's main spiels is his ability to use this ability called There Is No Place to Run. So essentially it's a displacement effect. You're able to pull someone within 3, range 2, and you also give them an exposed token. But of course, if you are a Pons and a clone trooper, if clone troopers within 3 have 1 or more hunker tokens, they have immunity expose. So that might play effect, and it also might, assist Olek in terms of keeping his expertise trees live if Maul isn't able to get into combat and strip the hunker tokens off. So some very interesting play patterns and play routes there as well. And then we've got Darth Vader with the Bounty Hunter and their own ARF Troopers up against Queen Padme Amidala. Now, interesting to note here, faith and... what is it called? It's faith in diplomacy. So basically, Queen Padme's, or one aspect of her play pattern, is that she can allow wounded units to still contest objective points, assuming that she is not wounded and also on the same objective. So that is something that could be a good counter to Darth Vader's heavy attrition plays here. We actually might, see Vader wound people and then Padme being able to move them back onto a point and still contest even while they are wounded. So that is very interesting indeed. So it looks like we've had a deck shuffle. I'll also turn on the time. Players are using chess clocks today, just because sometimes these online leagues can blow out in terms of how long they take. So I will show a 2-hour timer, but it won't be indicative of exactly sort of what's going on. I think we're about 9 seconds out. So the first pull from Morgan is, of course, going to be Darth Vader. He is going to be able to put them in reserve, but he's sorely hoping that he doesn't get Darth Maul, and he doesn't. So that's very good. So we get the ARF troopers. We've also got, let's start using the actual objective name, shall we? This is locate the asset. So you can see that it's across the middle, back left for each player. So as first player, you don't normally want to rush in to the center, but because you've got like a nice lot of line of sight blocking terrain here, there's actually not much detriment for you to take cover behind this big piece and of course contest it. Now you won't be at the same elevation, so it can be taken off of you, but you can see here that there's no way for this ARF trooper to get shot. And with coordinated fire being ranged 5, this is a really good way of Morgan being able to consistently get exposed tokens on the targets of Galactic Republic characters. So that's going to be really good. And then we've also got the other ARF trooper up on the top left-hand side of the screen, sitting on top of a objective token and claiming those for Morgan. So let's see how Olek contends. It's going to be very interesting. Keep in mind, guys, that the first player never scores points. Okay, so what have we pulled up for Olek? We're still waiting, I think. Let's see. Still waiting. Maybe there has been a drop. Just bear with me. No, everyone's still in the chat. They might be having some issues with the timer. Yeah, it looks like there might be some issues with the chess clock timer. Okay. Sorry, I'll just keep talking. So what we're hoping for, I think, as as Olek, is probably to draw maybe ARF troopers of his own or the handmaidens. You can usually bring one of your fragile supporting units up into the middle, but you probably don't want to get both, especially considering that Darth Vader is active and ready to go. So the ARF troopers actually might be a better pull here for Olek. And just to make sure that they can't be preyed upon by Darth Vader, because he's on the top left and the ARF troopers of Olek are on the bottom right. So that might be something to consider there as well. What else? Commander Pons is also fantastic. I think one way to consider what to do with your characters is, of course, the ones that don't require any force are usually the ones that can afford to get wounded. So if you come and have a look at Commander Pond's card here, none of his abilities, even if he gets wounded, start costing a force. So that is another really important thing to note when you choose a unit to go up and contest in that sort of no man's land in the middle of the map. So yeah, that's definitely something to consider as well. So we've got a few viewers in the chat, and that's always lovely to see. Just let me know if there's anything specific that you guys want me to cover, or a specific view angle that you'd want me to look at here, or who are you guys looking at to win the match, and of course, who would you like to see in the final as well. It is interesting to note, we can sort of talk about their premiere format of this event, especially while the players aren't actively doing anything at the moment. So it is interesting to note, in the top elimination rounds, the organizers have determined that this would be premiere format. So that essentially means that before you get into the finals, or by the time you finish the finals, you're anticipating and using every single one of your squads. So Olek in his first round used this squad, which was Queen Padme and Jedi Master Mace Windu. In the last game that he played up against Wargaming Dad, he played with Mother Talzin and Lord Maul. And now he's, of course, using Mace Windu and Padme again. So he's actually had no issues in terms of being locked into a specific roster. So he's actually got free reign to play anything that he wants in the finals. Whereas Morgan, interestingly enough, in his first, I think, top 16 round, he used Darth Vader and Mother Talzin. In his second match, he used Darth Vader and Lord Maul. And in this round, up against Olek, he's also using Darth Vader and Lord Maul, which means that in the final, Morgan will actually be list locked, assuming he wins against Olek here. He'll be list locked into Darth Vader and Count Dooku, which is going to be a very interesting match. I'm just going to see what's going on with the stream. I'll just go on Be Right Back and I will give you guys an update very shortly. Okay, fantastic. So Olek, one of the players, is just taking a phone call at the moment. So we will just let the timer run down again, and I'll just keep speaking. So as I said, Morgan will be list locked, assuming he wins up against Olek, to his Darth Vader roster and to Count Dooku. Now, his Count Dooku squad is really interesting. I've had a couple of chats to Morgan about how he likes to build rosters, and I think I largely agree. Essentially, what he wants to do is in each squad that he takes to form a strike team, he wants to have at least one displacement character, which is a really interesting way to build the rosters. So you can see here, you've got Jango Fett, who is your displacement piece with his capture wire. And then in his other squad, you've got Lord Maul with There Is No Place to Run, which is another form of displacement. Now, going into his other squads to form his premier roster, Morgan has also brought Mother Talzin, Savage Opress, and the Mandalorian Super Commandos. And of course, the displacement piece there being Mother Talzin. She has some really fantastic push at range capacity attacks. And she's also got an ability called Manipulating Hand, which allows you to choose another enemy character within 3 and displace them by forcing them to do a dash. And his fourth squad, which we may be able to see in the finals, assuming Morgan gets the W here, is Count Dooku, Separatist Leader, Barriss Offee, Jedi Padawan, and the Magna Guard. And of course, the displacement piece in that aspect being Barriss Offee, who has a Asajj Ventress style force push. So some really, really interesting characters there. Now, we haven't seen the same sort of squad design from Olek, and I think that's good. It means that we've got a lot of variation this early in the game, which is always really, really awesome to see. But Jedi Master Mace Windu, Commander Pons, and the ARF Clone Troopers, they have no way outside of their combat trees to displace other characters. They do a lot of in-house displacement. Jedi Master Mace, he has Rush to Action. He moves himself and a unit. Pons moves another unit, and the ARF Clone Troopers can move themselves with defensive maneuver. And that's something that you see with the Queen Padme Amidala a lot as well. So while Morgan might be aiming to displace his opponent, essentially what Olek is trying to do is really make sure that his characters are where he wants them. So it looks like Olek's back, and the first card that we've pulled is going to be the Shatterpoint. So usually that's not something that you want to see so early with a Mace Windu squad, because essentially he has an ability called Shatterpoint, and it's basically feeds off the back of Mace Windu getting chosen to be your Shatterpoint activation. But you don't usually want to go so early with Mace. You want to be able to have a few abilities to get him up into the center of the field where he can start, making some attacks and doing some really pivotal things. But it looks like Olek is going to decide to keep the Shatterpoint. He does have the option to spend a force and shuffle it back in, but he's decided not to do that. And that might be, in order to get his Padme triggers and get his characters up the board and ready to fight and contest. And this, of course, will be the first round where we can see some points being scored for the second player. So it will be very, very interesting. And it looks like we are deciding to use Queen Padme Amidala here. So she's a really, really interesting piece. She's fantastic, and she's very unique in, I would say, squad design. What I was saying before was that faith and diplomacy ability. So essentially, if her combat tree is in faith and diplomacy, which it is currently not, then if Padme is contesting an objective, friendly Galactic Republic supporting characters also contest that same active objective. So what you can do is you can sort of bully a point either early or late with Padme or maybe another supporting unit like the Naboo Royal Handmaidens. And even if they get wounded, you can move them back onto the point with Royal Command. Or you can also just sort of mosey up on with Queen Padme to take the point, and that will also sort of double your capacity or triple the number of characters that you have on said point. So yeah, really, really interesting ability there, and it's not something that we've seen before. You know, it's something that we've seen in other games like Marvel Crisis Protocol, where certain characters get extra capacity to contest objectives through the use of abilities like Kingpin, etc. But it's not something that we've yet seen until now with the old Queen Padme, which is really cool. So we have had an advance there, and I think that was still picking Padme Amidala to be the active player, but then we've had Royal Command be used, unless he's actually decided to use his Shatterpoint on the Handmaidens, and that's actually what's happened. So we have had a Shatterpoint use on his Handmaidens, which is a very interesting pick. Looks like, you know, foregoing the opportunity to get some of his big powerhouse characters out with a double activation in the first deck rotation, and instead we're sort of making sure that we can just get up and score points with as many characters as possible, and in this capacity he's decided to go with the Handmaidens. So I wonder if Morgan's next activation will be, of course, Darth Vader. He'll be able to go up, he'll be able to target the top Handmaiden and wound the unit potentially. But at the moment, we've got an attack from the Handmaidens into the ARF troopers. So we'll have a look at what's happening here. So a pretty good roll. The Handmaidens have a really, really nice expertise tree. So we've got 7 successes into 5 blocks. So it looks like 2 going down the tree, which is pretty nice. For the old Handmaidens, they'll be able to jump, they'll be able to maybe put some conditions out and do a little bit of damage. So there won't be any conditions just because we didn't get far enough down the tree, but 3 damage and a jump is pretty nice. It's going to be able to get this Handmaiden back further and away from the threat range of, say, Jango and Vader. And then we'll also see what the next Handmaiden does, who's the one in the center here. And the reason, guys, that the Handmaidens rolled so many dice there was a move and then a thing called Expose Flank. So it's essentially like a defensive maneuver, except you get a climb. And if the character or one character in the unit ends at a higher elevation than it started, they get Sharpshooter 1 and a focus action for free. So it's a really nice, a lot of efficient sort of dice manipulation there. So I think we're just seeing where we want to go with the second character. Looks like, yep, we're now going to start shooting with the second Handmaiden into the same ARF trooper. And this is what is going on. So we're going to have 5 successes there into 3 blocks with the ARF trooper. So that'll be another 2 down the tree, which will be another lot of damage and a potential jump. I don't think you want to jump off the elevation purely because, you know, the way that Shatterpoint works, you're essentially, the higher the elevation, or if you match the elevation of the objective, you essentially get priority. But the jump will be nice to sort of prevent single push displacement, as you can see Olek doing there. So if he gets pushed once, he won't be able to get off the building. But he will take the priority objective, or he will take the control of the objective for being higher elevation than that ARF trooper. As well. And yeah, this is what I was saying before, guys. So what we've given Morgan the opportunity to do is pull Darth Vader out of the reserve. He's going to be able to put an attack into the Handmaiden here. And if he wounds the unit, not only will he take control of the objective that he's standing on, but he'll also take back control of this center objective because the ARF trooper is still contesting and was not wounded. So this is a really good play by Morgan. I mean, largely unavoidable from Olek, just because you do need to go into the center and start claiming points. That's the name of the Shatterpoint game. But I think this is a really nice counter from Morgan here, if he's able to wound the Naboo Handmaidens. So we've seen a Force be used on Vader's Fury. That's going to give Vader an advance and add 2 damage into the damage pool, and he's going to roll into this poor little Naboo Handmaiden with quite a lot of dice. I think we've also seen Vader take 2 damage to roll 3 extra dice here. And we've got a massive hit there from Vader. So I have a feeling, without doing the quick dice math, that will be indeed a full tree, which will be enough to wound the Handmaidens. So I'm just going to give you guys a zoom out in terms of what's happening. We've of course got Darth Vader up the center. The wound on the Handmaidens there will mean that Morgan will take control of the top center and the center objective, because he's got the ARF Trooper down there, and we'll see how Olek counters that. I am interested to maybe hear why Olek decided to use the Shatterpoint on the Handmaidens. His force is definitely not restrained on, or need to be conservative on the force. So shuffling back the Shatterpoint might have actually given him, a good opportunity to draw something better. Because, you want to make sure that you get a big double activation with something like Mace or with Padme. But maybe, the lack of opportunity potentially, had you drawn a single character unit to get 2 points off of the center, could have been a little bit detrimental here. And that's fair enough. So just a reminder, guys, we've basically had Vader wound the Handmaidens, and that will allow him to take control of the objective that Vader's standing on, but also take control of the center objective, because the Handmaidens are now wounded and the ARF Troopers are not. So that'll give Morgan a momentum. It'll put the struggle tracker back into the center, which will give both players a momentum. And we're just trying to measure some ranges here. I think Morgan will probably want to try and avoid the coordinated fire from the Handmaidens being a coordinated fire disarm. But sometimes you just got to eat it. Sometimes you just have to eat it. And we've also seen Darth Vader flip into his far more defensive side, which is Form 5 Gemso. So he's got a much nicer defensive expertise chart on that side and rolls more dice. And that's an unlucky pick, I think, so early from Olek, being the Naboo Handmaiden. So that's the second card that he's drawn. So he won't be able to get the objective off of Vader again, simply because the Handmaidens unfortunately have no displacement capacity on their combat tree. They're not able to shove or shoot or anything similar. But what Olek might be looking at doing now is just sort of shifting gears a little bit. The Handmaiden that's at the top right of the screen could, of course, basically go to where the Handmaiden in the center of the screen is, and then the Handmaiden in the center could go to the bottom right of the screen and take that objective instead, and just do a bit of a shimmy over, and still sort of maintain point disparity. So he'll be able to score another 3 by reclaiming the point in the center, and of course claiming the point at the very bottom hand of the screen. So thanks for joining us, guys. If you are in the chat and you feel like joining along in the conversation, of course, please don't hesitate. We're always happy to interact and, of course, sort of show you what you want to see. If you do want me to have a different zoom or a different angle on the board, please let me know. I am going to try and follow the dice here. I'm going to try and follow the status conditions on the cards and give you guys a good overlay. But, of course, add a little bit of spicy tactical commentary as well. But if you do want to see anything specific, please don't hesitate to let me know. Okay, so we're having this Handmaiden in the center shoot back at the ARF Trooper, who's taken quite a beating at the moment. And let's see what we get. So we've got 3 blocks into 5 successes. So it's another 2 going through. I'm just wondering if Morgan might be rolling too many dice there, and I think he is, because he shouldn't be getting the hunker plus the cover benefits. So I'll just be right back and I'll just jump in and say as much. Just bear with me. Okay, so it is all sorted. It was my misinterpretation of the terrain rules, and yeah, the amount of dice is rolled, that is being rolled is indeed correct. So we've got another handmaiden shooting, and it looks like we're actually shooting at the bounty hunters at the top left-hand side of the screen there. And we've got 2 blocks into 4 successes. So it's going to be another 2 cheeky little successes there. So the handmaidens are really adept at getting 2 successes through. But the lack of displacement capacity is generally what I think hurts them as a package. But they do a lot of movement, they do a lot of condition handouts and stuff like that. So I quite like them for that reason, especially combined with, Padme Amidala. She does some really, really good utility. So Morgan has just drawn the bounty hunters. So we're going to try and obviously get another few points back here. Morgan is innately scoring 2. I don't think there'll be an opportunity for him to score 4 unless he's able to wound the handmaidens, which is possible. We could, of course, see the bounty hunters use their on the trail ability, so they get to dash towards an enemy character. Then they could move, and then they could have a crack into these handmaidens. But that might be a little bit too aggressive, and you might actually just want to sort of save them to, of course, get into the center for struggle 2 or potentially struggle 3 as well. So let's see what we do. We have decided to keep them. We're not putting them in reserve or anything like that, which makes sense. We are putting them into reserve. Okay, interesting. So now we're going for Obi 2, Jedi out of hiding. And he's going to be able to run himself with his tactical ability on reveal, which is, you choose either him or another character that is engaged, and the chosen character may heal and reposition. And he'll definitely be able to do essentially what Vader did at the beginning, where he'll be able to sort of put a lot of pressure onto one single Naboo handmaiden and try and make sure that the ARF trooper inevitably will take the objective off of the Naboo handmaiden at a different elevation. So that's what we're seeing. We won't have a repeat of exactly what happened. The Naboo handmaidens have 8 health, and Obi-Wan Kenobi maxes out at 7 on his tree. Beautiful expertise tree and a beautiful combat tree as well. But not able to do 8 damage, I don't believe, unless I'm miscounting. No, maxes out at 7. But you will be able to put a lot of pressure on that unit, and having a double wound token on them so early in the game could be quite a detriment to Olek. Double wound would mean that their next activation would be their last activation. So that could be quite problematic going into the game later on. So there's a big debate as to where you put Obi-Wan Kenobi in the battlefield. A lot of people like to try and lock down a flank, and some people like to try and spread his ability as far as possible by positioning him more in the center. So it'll be really interesting to see where Morgan goes here. He has decided to lock down a flank, which could be really problematic for Olek, considering that he's got Mace Windu on that side, and Mace Windu is a powerhouse character, but if he's unable to attack due to Obi-Wan's mind trick, he runs out of a lot of options very quickly. So we've seen Obi-Wan Kenobi take some damage and roll a lot of dice into the handmaidens, who have blocked 3, and Obi-Wan Kenobi has, I think, gotten a full tree, basically guaranteed. 4 expertise equates to 3 hits, so that's a total of 7, blocking 3. So yeah, that's a full tree with 4 successes going through there. So we'll see what happens. Looks like we're just going straight through the middle tree here, guys, to do the 7 damage, a heal, and a double push. And so we're going to try and push these Naboo Royal Handmaidens out of the game as far away as possible, so they can get less utility out of course, their coordinated fire, and less utility out of a potential faith and diplomacy, servant of the people, or aggressive negotiations as well. So if you guys have just joined the chat, essentially what we are looking at is the top 4 game of the TTS League that's currently going on. This is the first iteration of the Shatterpoint TTS League that the community's tried, and it's been a blast. We're nearly finished, and we'll be sort of moving on into our second iteration of it in a few weeks. And yeah, it's going to be very, very exciting. Okay, so the next pull that we've had is Sabe, Royal Bodyguard, who is positioned just over here behind the barrel. This is her. We'll give her, she's scoping out the battlefield here. So she has a few options. When she gets revealed, every handmaiden in the squad or on the battlefield can dash towards a chosen allied primary character. So that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing Padme's Loyal Protectors trigger. Sabe is moving towards Padme. You can see the angle there, and then both of the handmaidens will be able to dash towards a primary character as well. So they will be able to move back. It is not a mandatory trigger. You don't have to do it. So of course, if Olek likes the position of the central handmaiden, he will be able to keep it. Should he want to. He could also, potentially put the handmaiden in a safer position. He could put it behind the building and exchange positions where he puts, the handmaiden up the top. Handmaiden down the bottom and then Sabe up the top. But I think a more likely play that we'll see is Sabe trying to push Darth Vader off the top point there and taking control of it instead. But we will, of course, try and see that handmaiden down the bottom of the screen move towards a contesting place of the objective that Obi-Wan Kenobi just took off of them. Yep. So we're just going to show you guys the data, the damage conditions. We've got a single wound on the handmaidens down here, and they're 1 health away from being wounded again. And then on Morgan's side, we've got 1 damage on Obi-Wan Kenobi because he took some damage from Your Hatred Makes You Powerful. He did heal 1 off with Obi's combat tree. Taken a few damage from the bounty hunters from a sneaky little handmaiden shot and 2 damage from Darth Vader. Alright, so this is what I was talking about before. I think what we'll see is Sabe going for the top objective to try and displace Darth Vader off of it and to take it back. And Sabe is a really, really good tanky character with a lot of sort of playmaking capacity. So this is her combat tree. I'll get a better angle for you guys. This is her combat tree. She's got a lot of shoves. She's got a lot of condition layouts, and she's got some really good ways of sort of getting around the board through follow-up on her shove or a jump if you get deep enough in her tree. And she's also got a really, really handy reposition there as well. And just look at that expertise chart on the ranged pistol. It is fantastic. They call it the Kalani Special. But interestingly, we're actually going to try and take the center objective and not the Vader objective here. So we've got Sabe going into the ARF Troopers again. And you can see those 3 expertise convert into 1 crit and 2 hits. So she's landed 6 into Morgan's 5 there. And the reason I say 5 is because the ARF Troopers add an extra expertise roll into the result. So they're gonna get to their sort of better end of their phase 2 clone armor defensive expertise tree. Yeah. Interested to see why we didn't decide to displace Vader off there. I understand that getting a wound on the ARF Troopers is good. It's going to make the coordinated fire expose a lot more expensive. And maybe Olek's trying to get closer to his momentum by putting wounds out and then hoping to have a big swing turn or something similar to score the objectives back. But I think I would have preferred to see a bigger play in terms of more points for for Olek by displacing Darth Vader there. But we didn't get it. We didn't do it. And Morgan has promptly drawn Darth Maul. And this could be the reason why Olek decided to take a central position. Darth Maul could have easily wounded the handmaidens, which would have given the objective back to Morgan, with the ARF Trooper being at a different elevation there. So basically Olek has achieved multiple things. He's kept this point safe by trying to put double bodies on, and he's also switched off Morgan's sort of take back capacity by wounding the ARF Troopers there. So it is a very good play. I'm just not sure if it's something that I would have done, but that's why Olek is here and I am just commentating. All right, so this is what we're seeing with Morgan. We're going to try and probably displace the handmaiden here and remove them from the area, or we could also try and displace Sabe with the pull and then attack the handmaiden to try and sort of achieve the same thing. So we'll see how this measures out. The one thing that Morgan does need to be careful of and mindful of is the ability called Intercede. So while the handmaidens are not wounded, enemy characters engaged with one or more characters in this unit cannot target allied primary or secondary characters with attacks. So the way that Olek has positioned the handmaiden next to Sabe is essentially that, there's range 2 coverage of the entire top of this building, which means that any enemy character that wants to strike in melee will essentially not be able to, because the handmaiden is alive on 1 wound, and will still be sort of kicking around. All right, so what we're seeing here is Maul, and I wonder what we are going to do. Maul's got a really nice capacity to displace. He's got, he's only got the 1 push, so I wonder what we'll see, if we're going to try and see a big swing turn into Sabe, or if we're going to try and, I think that's what we're going to see. So we're going to try and see a big swing turn into Sabe. He's going to use You Cannot Escape, or There Is Nowhere to Run. There is no place to run on the handmaiden, pull them off the building, and then we will attack Sabe. Or am I wrong? Okay, I think I know what's happening. What we're going to try and do is we're going to try and get deep enough into Maul's tree by attacking the handmaiden instead, which will allow Morgan to get a better angle to then displace Sabe off the roof as well with the pull. So let's see what happens here. We're attacking the handmaiden, and that's definitely going to be getting Maul what he wants to get deep enough in the tree. So this is essentially what we're looking at here, guys. I'll get a better angle. He's got a reposition, he's got a jump, and he's got some pushes as well. So he's got basically free reign as to where he wants to end up on this this building. And that's going to essentially try and give Morgan an angle where he can also displace Sabe. So he's wounded the handmaidens, he's taken them out of contention. He's also then going to try and displace Sabe off the top of the building, which will remove her from contesting as well. And that will equate to Morgan taking the objective back. And that's exactly the kind of play that you're looking for with Maul. He's one of those characters that does absolutely everything. He has amazing dice, he's got amazing combat tree, and he's got inbuilt displacement with his There Is No Place to Run. So that's a really good, clever play there by Morgan, but also a clever way to force Morgan into that position by Olek. So very, very interesting to see these players come up with these sort of play patterns. And it'll be interesting to see where Morgan wants to put Sabe with There Is No Place to Run. So let's just wait and see. And of course, what you see there, guys, is Maul taking damage instead of spending force points because of Maul's ability called Sustained by Rage. So instead of spending force, he's able to instead take damage. Yep. And that is the play. Quite a good one. Keep in mind that you are able to put Sabe on this point without it getting taken over because you have to outnumber the amount of enemy characters that's on an objective before you take it over. And now we have pulled Queen Padme Amidala. So this is going to be very interesting. Let's try and think about this. So basically the play here, I think, is trying to get Padme into a position where she can shoot Vader and displace him off of this objective, and then also move themselves up into the center where they'll be able to... No, they won't be able to do that because Maul is up there as well. If there's a way for Padme to also get up onto this ledge, then she can turn on her beautiful faith and diplomacy ability. This one here, Servant of the People, where we were talking about before, we're able to activate or contest objectives with wounded characters. But if we can't do that, then we might just have to try and focus on getting Vader off of this point and contesting it with Sabe here instead. So let's have a think. Are there any ways that Padme can get up onto the roof? There are. If she gets deep enough into her tree, she's going to be able to move. She's going to be able to also use her royal command. She can use that on herself. So she could move here. She could shoot into Vader, and then she could also royal command herself up onto the top of the building, which would mean If she gets the pushes on Vader, she can displace him. That will give control of this objective to Sabe, and then she'll be able to move up onto the ledge there as well, which is going to equate to a big swing from Olek, which could be really handy. But we'll see how this plays out here in a moment. Let's have a look. We've just got to be very careful with this placement because we want to make sure that we absolutely can get in range of Darth Vader with Queen Padme Amidala. And we can't really miss this opportunity here because that will essentially mean that we can't get everything that we want to do. I.e., we're not going to be able to, Royal Command up onto the building and flip this objective as well. I would also be advising Olek to measure range 2 here. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's in range, but you never know. Sometimes ranges can be deceiving in this game. So let's have a look. We're going to move with Padme. That's going to put us in range 4 of Darth Vader. So that's very good. That is the range of Padme's ability. And then we're also going to move here as well. So that might have actually been a royal command being used on herself, which is basically what we're talking about, except in reverse order. And the dash here, guys, is usually a result of crack shot. So when this unit makes a focus action, each character in this unit may also dash. And I think that might be what we're seeing here as well. So we're probably doing a focus action with Padme to get her further towards the edge there. Or we could just do the other move that's either the Royal Command or the just a normal advance. But I think the thing that we want to do first is shoot Vader, which is what we're going for. We do need, I would probably flip this this trait into the Faith in Diplomacy because there's a lot more pushes, but that's neither here nor there. Because you don't want to rely on getting 3 deep into a tree. You want to make sure that you get pushes, on the first sort of area. All right, so we've moved Sabe, which leads me to believe that essentially the first thing that happened was an advance. The second thing that happened just then was a royal command on Sabe, and now we're getting a shot into Vader with a Faith in Diplomacy trigger because we did just flip the tree. So let's have a look. We've got, I think we've got the result that we need because the new tree has a push on the first result. And thanks to that crit, it's basically unavoidable by Morgan. So yeah, now we're going to get the push. So I think maybe the Royal Command was used on Sabe just to guarantee the fact that Sabe would contest the objective. It might have also put her into a bit of a safer position. And now we are moving with Padme. So I must have missed something there, guys. I'm not entirely sure why Sabe was able to move, but I'm sure there is a reason. I'm not 100% familiar with these characters, but essentially the play was what I predicted. We had Padme go up onto the roof, which is going to mean that the handmaiden here can contest objectives even whilst wounded. And we've also pushed Vader off the objective there, which has meant that Sabe can take that point up at the top. So very, very good. Very, very good. I'm just going to get a drink of water. If anyone wants to put anything in the chat, please let me know. I am commentating by myself today, so it's a little bit difficult. So just bear with me. Okay, so the next pull from Morgan was, of course, the bounty hunter called Jango Fett. So we're going to probably have a reverse situation here where Morgan is going to, again, do what he did last time. He's going to try and pull Padme off of the top with Jango Fett's beautiful capture wire ability, where he can pull someone within 3, 2 towards Jango, and also give them a pin. So we've seen Django move up and get into position for that. And then he's also probably going to try and, either put some wounds on Sabe or get some damage on Sabe to make sure that he can control that objective as well. So Morgan's got 2 objectives, and he is 5 away from the actual taking of the struggle. And I think we're shooting into Sabe here, or probably combating because of the amount of dice being rolled there. Django would have taken extra damage to roll extra dice. So we've seen 2 blocks from Sabe, and I think 4 successes from Django. So that'll be 2 going through total, which definitely won't be enough to get Django what he wanted there. But we still will be able to, get to the position of taking Padme off of this top objective, which will flip control back into Maul's hands, because the Royal Handmaiden there won't be counted as contesting anymore, because she's wounded, and Padme is no longer there to give her the buff from faith and diplomacy. So that's another sort of slight swing towards Morgan. After scoring 4, which is quite a big swing, we're slowly sort of edging towards a struggle 1 victory there, which will be very, very interesting to see. So guys in the chat, Tucci 5x5 has said pinned by Maul. Were you saying that? So maybe Padme was pinned by Maul. No, I think she's been pinned by Django. Padme wasn't attacked by Maul. Sabe was attacked by Maul, and I believe it was a strain instead of the pin. But thank you for the note. I'll definitely inquire as to that. Let me just have a look at the tree. Yeah, I'm not sure if there was a pin there. But yeah. So what we've done is we've now pulled the ARF troopers. So the ARF troopers are going to be able to try and get some objectives here. So we've had a defensive maneuver being triggered, and we might actually see a climb be the next thing that we do here to basically take this objective off of Maul. So if we get, if we can get 2 people up on this objective, noting that the handmaidens are wounded, we will be able to, of course, take control of it again. And then maybe we can even put some conditions on Maul, or we can start harassing Obi and maybe putting some conditions on him. The only problem with Obi is that he heals at the start of his activation, and he heals before he does his reposition. So he's really, really hard to lock down because he can heal a pin off of himself and then he can reposition. So he's really, really slippery. So we have seen the ARF troopers climb up onto the top after a defensive maneuver. And let's see what we have. We've got into Maul, I believe, who's rolling 6 dice. So we're just going to try and put some conditions on him and sort of get him close to being wounded. And we've got 4 into, I think 4, because Maul's got a really nice defensive expertise tree. No. So 1 will get through, which will be a pin and a damage. And we're doing it again. Let's have a look at the results. So a decent expertise result from Maul. That's going to equate to 3 blocks. And then we've got 5 going through. So it's going to be another 2 down the ARF trooper tree, which is going to be another pin, another damage, and another damage and a shove. So Maul will be able to be removed off of the top there, thanks to a shove, and he will get a few extra damage because of the fact that he's already pinned. And that will be another 3-point swing back towards Olek. So it's going to put him on the 1, and Morgan will be 5 away again from taking the struggle back. So if you're watching, how are you going to try and end this struggle as quick as possible? We've got left in the deck the Bounty Hunters, and I think the Shatterpoint for Morgan. And a Shatterpoint might be really handy. What could we see here to get 4? We need to be able to wound the ARF troopers, and I think that's the only way that we'll be able to... Not actually sure how we can get it, really. I don't think we'll be able to get it in the next activation unless Morgan sees something that I don't. I guess what we could do is a potential Django play where he pulls Sabe off the objective and gets a wound on the ARF troopers. That will be able to get him a momentum and control 1, 2, 3, 4 objectives for the wound as well. For the struggle win. So I think he's got the Shatterpoint. Morgan's definitely considering what he does. He is going to pull the Shatterpoint, and we actually might be able to see the same thing, but done with Maul instead. So if he attacks into the ARF troopers, he has a pretty good chance of wounding them just because, he's Maul. And then what he could do is try and displace Sabe before coming back up onto the top of the building and controlling it, which would be, of course, the 5 points that we need. 4 from the number of objectives Morgan controls, and 1 from the momentum that he would get from a wound. So we're going to have to, have a bit of a think about what different characters we're going to use. Looks like we've got a Darth Vader play here being considered. He could climb up, wound the ARF troopers, and then he could move down to Sabe. That is another way that he could do it. So basically, the play there would be Darth Maul moving up, wounding the ARF troopers, and then using Vader's Fury to get down onto the objective where Django is, which would outnumber the number of models that Olek has on it, and that would, of course, give him the win of the struggle as well. So that's probably a little bit more reliable than going with Maul, who is both disarmed and pinned, and that is the play that we're going to go for. So we know that that's the angle, and while Morgan does that, I'll just give you guys a bit of a damage update. We have probably 5 damage on Vader after taking 3 dice for a big swing here. We've got 2 damage on Django. We've got wounded ARF troopers. We've got 7 on Maul with a pin and a disarm. We've got 1 on Obi, and we've got 3 on the bounties. And this is the big Vader swing into the ARF troopers. It's a really good Vader swing, so it's probably going to be enough into these ARFs who have blocked 3. But Vader has gone 8, I believe, after the 2 extra crits from his expertise. So that will be a wounded ARF troopers. So let's have a look at the damage on Olek's side. We've got an untouched Mace. We've got an untouched Pons, who hasn't activated yet. Neither of those have activated. The ARF troopers are just about to go down. Padme is pinned, but that's it. We've got a strained and triple hurt Sabe, and we've got the last activation incoming on the Naboo handmaidens, who have no activations afterwards because they're double wounded. So I think that's the play. We've got a wound onto the ARF troopers. Let's have a look at Vader's tree. Yeah, so I think he's gone 5 at least, which is going to be enough damage to do 7. And then the play will be, of course, Vader's Fury. He won't be able to add any damage into the pool, but he will get the free advance. And that is, of course, going to be enough to get him onto the point where Django is. And that is going to outnumber Sabe there, because I don't think Padme is contesting. And there we go. Let's have a look. Did we get enough on the... I think we did get enough on the ARF troopers, but we just haven't updated the kit there. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. He might have actually just dashed off of the combat tree if he got far enough. Yeah. So he went full 5, and then he got a dash at the end, and now he's just doing his last little move, which is better than spending a Vader's Fury, because then you don't actually need to spend the force, and that is struggle number 1 to Morgan. So very good play there. Really nice to see, all the iterations that are going through players' heads. I had 3 different ways. Django inefficient, Maul more inefficient or less inefficient than Django, but then Vader was the way to go. And this, guys, is the next struggle layout. So let's get the name. It is We've Been Double Crossed. So Olek, of course, gets to choose the deployment layout because he was the loser of Struggle 1. And let's see what we have. These are the options. So he probably doesn't want to choose the middle right there because he's, he doesn't have control of that. So let's have a look at middle left. Unfortunately, also doesn't have control of that. top left would mean Morgan. So he's probably going to have to choose, the one where the middle is controlled by both Vader and Django. So let's see what he decides to do. Okay. Yeah, so we're pinging these three. So he's decided to not go for the one with the scrum with Django and Vader, which is fair. I just worry that Morgan will have control of 2 innately. I think unless we go with Mace here, actually, I don't think that there's a way for Olek to take control of the one where Obi-Wan is on, just because Olek has no characters that can displace. So this could be problematic for Olek, and we'll see how he responds. He is a fantastic player, and let's see what he's drawn. He's drawn Commander Pons. Okay, so I think what the wise thing to do here would be to put Mace sort of centrally, because you probably don't want to make... Oh, maybe you do just leave Pons. I guess you could leave Pons where he is. Let's have a look where the priority token is. I don't think it's been rolled for. No. They'll figure it out. They will figure it out. So we're seeing Mace get moved up towards Obi-Wan, which is probably not where he wants to go, really, because Obi-Wan has a really good capacity to shut him down, thanks to Mind Trick, of course. So when an allied character within 3, including himself, is targeted by an attack, Obi-Wan can essentially stop it by paying 2 force, which is really savage. And what we're doing is probably trying to get some chip damage and conditions onto Vader and or Maul, maybe, just because Maul has a bunch of conditions already. Yeah, so the target is probably Vader. And let's have a look at Pons' tree. There's a few things that he can put down there. A pin would be nice, and we are shooting into Vader. So Vader hasn't done very well there. Only 1 block into 5 successes, so it is the full tree for Pons. And I think you probably want to go with the bottom tree, just because the pin is quite nice. It essentially halves Vader's movement for the round. He has to spend resources on, Vader's Fury, etc. And he's also been able to do 6 damage. So that means Vader is 1 away, which is really, really strong. And we do see the pin there as well being put on to Vader. Yeah, and Pons is taking cover behind this large set of terrain, and still will be contesting the objective. I'm not entirely sure what the priority was. Here we are, they're rolling for it now, and it was Morgan's top left. So yeah, only 1 point being scored by Olek there. So we could actually see a really, really big swing from Morgan here. He's going to be scoring 3 right out of the gate. Let's see what the priority is. It is the block, which is the one that Obi-Wan is on. Now, I will be interested to see if Morgan decides to just sort of gun it and try and win the struggle in Struggle 2. I think he's in a good position to try and do so. But he could also just sort of try and play conservatively and wait out and try and ebb resources from Olek before Struggle 3 happens. But I think, given that you're playing against Mace and Padme, you don't really want to allow resources to be put in the right place at the right time for big swing turns. Yeah, I've actually not really seen a game where Mace hasn't been active at all until the second struggle. This is quite a quick turnaround here, and it looks like the game here will be the bounty hunters using On the Trail to get a dash. They're going to then take cover and climb up onto the objective where Obi-Wan is, which means that Morgan will have 2 bodies on the middle objective and only 1 on the bottom. The bottom objective is relatively safe because Mace won't really be able to get there. And even if he does, there's the ability for Obi-Wan to just turn off the attack with Mind Trick. And then the other little bounty hunter is climbing up to double down on this objective up here. And I think we are seeing from Morgan to make a big offensive into the struggle number 2 and try and win it in 2. And I think he's in a pretty commanding position to do so. And we'll have to see how Olek responds. That's going to essentially be the end of the deck for Morgan. And Olek's last activation is, of course, Mace Windu. There is a small ray of sunshine here in that his home objective is, of course, the priority. So that's nice. And we'll see Mace Windu and how he reacts. I am interested to see whether or not Obi-Wan is within 3 of the rear bounty hunter there. It's dangerous. I think, I'd really encourage Olek to measure that before he does anything. But I'm actually not sure if Mace can even make that. The first thing that Mace does is, of course, rush to action. He chooses another Galactic Republic unit and himself, and they both dash. And I really don't think Mace is actually going to be able to make that. But he is going to try and start putting some pressure onto Obi-Wan. He is going to attack, and that is going to force Obi-Wan to spend Mind Trick. Might actually not be worth it here because there's 2 characters that Mace can swing at. They'll both be eligible targets. So even after Obi-Wan gets rid of the first attack, he will be able to attack into the second target. Duralvar, that is a very good point. Morgan won the first struggle, and I've just put the card up in the overlay there so you can see. I'm not sure if you can see. Under Struggles 1, I've got a card there now. So thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so who are we going to attack first? Looks like we're going into Obi, and Morgan has decided not to use Mind Trick on it as well. And a very, very unfortunate roll there for Olek, who has no force for rerolls and has only rolled 2 successes. So 1 crit will go through into Obi-Wan, and the damage there is going to be 1 strain and 1 damage, which is the first success on the tree. So, anyone in the chat, who are you backing to win? What do you want to see, or who do you want to see take the W, and who do you want to see in the final? I'm just going to have a sip of water, and I'll be back momentarily. Okay, so priority remains the same. It remains as Olek's rear point, and looks like we've pulled Shatterpoint, which is going to be, the potential 4-point swing that no player in Shatterpoint wants to see. So that, of course, being the fact that Morgan has control of his 2, and he's going to be able to go after Pons here. Not sure if Maul is the right one to do it, considering he is pinned and disarmed. Maybe Vader, but Sabe's not wounded, and he's also pinned as well. So, yeah, it's rough. It is rough. So what we could do is have, I see the play here. So what we're going to go for is we're going to have Maul go after the ARF troopers, and then I think he's going to try and get deep enough on his combat tree to get a reposition. And then he's going to be able to use the there is no place to run to displace Pons off of the objective and take it for himself, which is a nice little play there. And it is something that could, of course, swing the game 4 points towards Morgan. Duralvar is Team Olek all the way. Apparently he's a local. But yeah, look, it is not looking good, but Shatterpoint is a fairly dynamic and tactile game in that big swings are things that happen all the time. Okay, so we've decided actually not to go for the Shatterpoint. We've shuffled it back in by spending a force, and probably an even better draw there for Morgan. What we could have is a run. He could heal the strain off of himself and then reposition. And then he could also move and have a big old crack into Pons to displace him off the objective there. And of course, because Pons is 7 health, we could actually see Obi-Wan get him in 1 because his combat tree does max out at 7. Okay, but we're not doing that. I think, that is a potential wise play just to keep Obi-Wan shutting down Mace Windu. And what we've instead had is because because Maul is engaged, he's used run on Maul. So he's healed the pin, and then he's got to reposition, and he's moved Maul into a more threatening position to set up for a 4-point swing later on, which is totally respectable. You don't have to rush into it, especially considering you've already got a bit of a commanding presence on the table and some really good control of the objectives here. So let's see what we do. I think the players are just debating on whether or not run triggers the strain that Obi has. I don't think it does, and I think what we've seen there is a recover action and then a swing into mace, and this is what's happening. So we've had 5 successes into mace, and mace is blocking 1. But he's also turning a hit to a fail and a crit into a fail. So I'll let the players do the math there. I cannot be bothered to try and figure it out. I think essentially he's turning off 3 results for Morgan, which means 2 go through. Yeah, I believe that's how it works. And that will mean either a heal. Yeah, so basically because of this party's over. Essentially, Mace won't be able to be pushed, and he also has protection as well. So it's going to be 2 damage into Mace, and yeah, basically probably a heal. And I think what we're seeing here is a jump. Yeah, jump from Obi to put him into range 3 of the bounty hunters back here, to make sure that he can control that objective and make sure that Mace never gets access to it as well. So let's have a look at the priority for Olek. Ooh, it's the center one. Which is, yeah, not fantastic for Olek. I'm not entirely sure if Obi-Wan will still be on the objective. We are measuring for it, and he's still on the objective as well. Okay, so let's see what Olek draws. Looks like he's gone early with Mace Windu. I wonder if he decides to go there. There's not really anything that Mace can do to wrestle these objectives off of Obi-Wan Kenobi, thanks to Mind Trick. So I wonder, yeah, looks like we have put him in reserve, and we will see the Shatterpoint come out, which is again unfortunate because the Shatterpoint is really who you usually want to target Mace Windu with. But what are some options to get multiple objectives? We could see Padme potentially moving some characters. Yeah, so there's a lot of resources for both players stacked on this side of the board, which is really difficult to sort of come to terms with, considering that, you know, now the objectives are on this side of the board, on the bottom in terms of the camera angle. So we'll have to see what happens here. I think we're going with Padme. We could also be waking the ARF troopers up to try and get the bodies on the priority objective to score 3 for Olek. Probably not a bad shout. We can't do that with the Handmaidens, considering that their next activation will actually be their last. And the reason that I say that, guys, is because, of course, they do have 2 wounds on them as well. So, yeah, it will be difficult. Let's have a look at a top-down. I have a feeling Olek will be considering a Padme play here, but I don't know what a Padme play will get. She is, of course, going to be able to use Royal Command. That will be able to position more characters on more objectives. And we are maybe even thinking of an ARF Trooper play as well to try and put a lot of pressure onto Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't think... You just have to choose the priority of objective and go for it, I think, which is what we're going to do here, yeah. So we're going to be shooting probably into Obi-Wan and or the bounty hunters after a mind trick, both of which are good targets. And then we'll just see how much damage we can put on them. And then I think what we have to do is have resources spent like a defensive maneuver and climbing. And this is what we've seen. So we're shooting into the bounty hunters. And we've seen 4 successes into 2 blocks. 4 successes into 2 blocks. So that's 2 successes, which is going to be 2 damage, a pin, and a shove. You probably don't want to shove them too far, just because, you know, you want to be able to shoot with the other character. But you also want to make sure that you might be able to put pressure on the back objective here. Interestingly enough, though, guys, so we've actually got a potential to wound the bounty hunters, which will probably mean that the ARF troopers can actually control all of these objectives. So what we could have is if the other ARF trooper goes into the bounty hunter, we could get a wound there. And then we could have them move and defensive maneuver and control all of those objectives. But we have seen the stop from the mind trick. So now we are going to have to be shooting into Obi-Wan Kenobi. With 2 less dice, and you lose your focus action as well. So it looks like 2 crits are going to go into Obi, and that is a big swing. That is a big swing there. That's the power of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, stopping those wounds on the bounty hunters is clutch, absolutely clutch there. But we will be able to wrest control of the objective, and we'll see if we put the ARF troopers sort of in a position where we can take control of objectives as soon as the bounty hunters get wounded. I think that's probably a wise choice. We're probably seeing 2 force being spent here on a defensive maneuver. Or maybe we're not actually going to get the defensive. Yeah, there's the defensive maneuver, guys. So we're going to move, and then we're going to climb up onto the objective with mace. Yep, so they're just getting that angle right because, of course, you can't land overlapping another miniature. Ooh, bit of a TTS fumble. And then we've got a defensive maneuver under the bridge, it seems. I'm interested to see why we didn't try and put a bit of pressure on the back left objective here. Yeah, so instead climbing, just putting triple body on that objective. You do need to make sure you put as many resources into winning the struggle, which is an unfortunate position to be in, just considering Morgan has such a strong hold over this objective or this struggle at the moment. And of course, Olek can't afford to lose struggle number 2 because that would mean the end of the game for him. So let's have a look at the scoreboard, guys. We're about to score 3 for Olek. Because he does have this objective with Pons, and that will essentially be that. In terms of damage, we've got a double wound on the Naboo handmaidens. Everything else is looking pretty good for Olek. We've got a lot of damage out on Morgan's side. We've got a pinned Vader on 1 health left. We've got a disarmed Maul on 4 health, and we've pulled Vader. And the objective control, or the priority objective, has remained the center. So that actually might be an issue for Morgan. And let's see what we do. We've put Vader into reserve, and we have instead drawn the ARF troopers. So let's see. The ARF troopers, it's pretty unlikely that they wound Olek's ARF troopers. And of course, this one is back here. So it's a really wise decision to always evacuate your back left objective in terms of player side during Struggle 2, because the back left objective is never active in Struggle 3. So we're seeing Morgan do that, and we have seen Olek do that sort of a long time ago. And that's, it's just sort of a mark of expectation for the players. They know exactly what the potential combinations are of objectives. And we are seeing Morgan try and get some range potentially into these ARF troopers to maybe get the wound. It wouldn't be enough, but it is what it is. So let's have a look at what we're getting here. Just having some measurements and some thoughts. And Morgan's probably trying to put as many bodies on the central objective as possible, because there's a very good chance that the central objective is active in Struggle 3. So let's have a look at what happens. So we've got a couple new people in the chat. Very, very cool. Who are we going for? Who are we backing? And who do we want to see in the final? Do we want the Jedi Master Mace Windu to extract his vengeance on Darth Vader, or do we want Darth Vader to reign supreme? So it looks like we've got the ARF Trooper shooting into one of them on the bridge. We'll see what we get here. 5 successes into 4 blocks. So we're going to have the 2 crits going through, which is usually just a pin, a shove, and 2 damage. I don't know if Mace Windu is going to be engaged. Let's have a look. He is engaged. So it's just going to equate to no shove, 1 damage, and 1 pin. And we've got the other ARF trooper shooting into probably the already wounded Naboo handmaiden, and just to see what we can get in terms of conditions and make their last activation relatively unimportant. And it's just going to be another 2 crits going through there, guys. So another 2 crits, which is going to be another few damage. Well, because Mace has got his range 5 bubble of steadfast and protection, it's just going to be 1 pin and 1 damage. But of course, they're already wounded, so they can't get any extra damage, and they just take a pin. All right, priority being rolled. We've got a failure, which is Olek's back point here. Which is good for Olek, and it's really keeping him in this struggle. So we're deciding maybe to use Mace Windu to put some pressure on the bounty hunters. It's not a bad idea, but of course Mind Trick is still active because Morgan has enough force. That's the problem with Obi-Wan Kenobi against a character like Mace. If it was Anakin, he could always double attack into the target, but because Mace has no form of attacking multiple times, a well-placed Obi-Wan Kenobi can really shut down his activation. And that's what we're seeing here. We're deciding not to go with Mace Windu, and we're instead drawing, which is going to put Commander Pons in the spotlight. So I wonder what we try and do. Pons has a pretty decent combat tree. If he gets 3 successes up against Maul, he could put a pin down again, which is going to really limit his ability to affect the board in a meaningful manner. He could, of course, still control the back objective there. But it is worth noting here, guys, that we're using charge on Mace Windu and getting Mace Windu closer into the action and engaging more characters, which is really, really important. So it's not as easy to rest the this party's over ability off of Mace. We're then seeing a move with Pons, and we're probably going to see a bit of an attack into Maul here. We're seeing an expose get put down potentially with a coordinated fire. Let's have a look. Just going to be checking out the combat trees. Not entirely sure if we saw a force getting used. We are going to use a coordinated fire expose. Okay, so we've got an exposed Maul defending against Commander Pons here. And I wonder how much damage Olek's actually going to want to do to Maul. I wonder if he's going to want to stop and just try and put some conditions on. We can do 4 damage to Maul to get a pin, but unfortunately that would be enough to wound him because he's got 11. But we could still just wound him, condition saturate him as well, so he has to sort of decide what he's going to get rid of upon healing. Yeah, and that is exactly what we're doing. So we've wounded Maul just to try and make his life a little bit more difficult, and we've gone 3 successes on Commander Pons, which has been 4 damage, a reposition, and a pin. Oh no, we've decided not to do the pin route, and instead we're going the 5 damage, the push, and the disarm. Yep. So that is that, and this is the scoreboard. So we've got a momentum from Olek, and we're scoring another 3 points there. So it's a tight struggle too, guys. It's a tight struggle too. It's a very, very good game, very entertaining, and I hope you guys are really enjoying it. All right, let's see what we've got in terms of priority. We've got a fail. A fail is the same one for Olek, so it's sort of remaining at the bottom, which means that they really want Olek to stay. The dice gods really want Olek to stay in the fight, and we've pulled the Shatterpoint. We have pulled the Shatterpoint. So we could wake up Maul here. We could also potentially wake up Obi-Wan to try and get the ARF troopers. He could reposition and smack them, noting that even with protection and steadfast, they would be able to get wounded by Obi-Wan, considering that they still have 6 health left. And let's see. Having some consideration here. If we do leave with Maul, with Obi-Wan, then you're opening that flank up to be attacked by Mace Windu, which is definitely something Morgan probably is contemplating and considering. So it'll be really interesting to see. The other option that we have is to wake up Maul and to go after that rear objective, but that's only going to score Morgan 3, and that will get both players momentum as well. I think you're going to be able to do both. I think you're going to be able to protect the bounty hunters and also attack the ARF troopers. So let's see what he does. He's just really going to have to eyeball that, considering that you're only able to use one tool of each type. So you can't actually just pre-measure perfectly and do all this funky stuff. But we are instead waking up Maul. And I think that's a good shout. Maul can come in, he can attack Pons, he can take control of this objective, he can cause a bit of a ruckus in terms of the board. He can, expose some people, he can attack some people, he can displace some people as well. So the reason that he's only dashing is because he was engaged with Padme, and we're probably going to be seeing a There Is No Place to Run being used on Pons, which we are, which is going to make it relatively easy for Maul to wound Pons, being this is his combat tree. So he only needs to do 7 damage to wound Pons, and we'll see what we get. Maul is going to be rolling a lot of dice. He's used 1 force to... Sorry, all he's used is 3 force to pull Pons there, and he's got 1 action remaining, which is probably just going to be an attack. And Maul will be rolling 4 extra dice, thanks to Sustained by Rage. So we'll see what happens. So into poor little Pons. Morgan's probably just debating whether or not he takes another 2 damage to roll extra dice. And we can see 10 dice, no, so he's decided not to. Decent roll by Morgan, and 0 blocks on Pons because of the expose, thanks to Sustained by Rage. Oh, sorry, There Is No Place to Run. So it's going to be a wounded Pons, and it's going to be a 4-point swing for Morgan, thanks to the wound as well. And now, while they put on all of the conditions and damage, is a good time for a damage update. So 2 on Maul, I keep saying Maul, 2 on Mace, a wounded Pons, a wounded ARF troopers with a wound token, an untouched Padme, a pretty healthy Sabe, and a double wounded Naboo Royal Handmaidens. And on Morgan's side, we have a very near death, a wound Darth Vader. He's only got 1 left. Django is relatively healthy. We've got a wounded ARF troopers. We've got a freshly activated but wounded Maul, a relatively healthy Obi-Wan, and a close to wounded bounty hunters. And that is that. So we've got that 4-point swing coming in. So Morgan edging closer, but depending on the priority roll and some clutch scores, we could actually see Olek take it potentially. The expertise is the top left. So this is going to be where I think Olek really considers going with Mace and trying to draw out the mind trick and putting a lot of resources into that top objective there. And I think that is exactly what we're seeing. So we're probably going to be seeing Mace go out of the basket, being drawn from the hole there. And we'll see what happens. So for those that have just joined, it is now Olek's turn. This is the struggle tracker. And you can see under the struggles 1, up the top left-hand side, we've got Morgan with 1 struggle win. So thanks for joining us, guys. We've decided not to go with Mace Windu, and we've instead drawn the ARF troopers. So let's see what happens. This is exactly sort of what we could have done before, drawing out the mind trick from Obi-Wan Kenobi by attacking the bounty hunters. So if the ARF troopers here get into a position where they can threaten all 3 of these characters, the mind trick might actually not be worth it. And that will be something that Olek needs to consider. He's going to want to make sure that he stays out of engagement. We're just not going to move. We're just going to go straight into the bounty hunters, and we're not seeing a mind trick being used either from Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it's just going to be 1 damage and a pin from the first attack, which is probably going to mean that Morgan really considers using a mind trick here. And I think that's probably what's going to happen. Very unlikely that he wounds either of these characters with mind trick being a factor. So we'll see. I mean, he has to attack because he wants to force Morgan to spend resources. So either way, it's a good thing to do. He also has the opportunity to shoot into Morgan's ARF troopers. I don't think I would take that, but he is going to take it. Okay. So he's shooting into Morgan's ARF troopers. So a mind trick was used there, guys. Just worth noting. So he's keeping his ARF troopers, his bounty hunters alive, which could cause a lot of problems for Olek in terms of scoring points this round. Still have an opportunity to do a defensive maneuver and a move to wrest control off of the bounty hunter at the back here. Because we can, get 2 bodies onto the objective instead of Morgan's 1. But they are pinned as well, which is, it's pretty detrimental there. So I'm not actually sure how much we can get, how many points we can take with a pinned ARF trooper. Yeah, I don't think he's actually going to be able to make any objectives because of the fact that they're pinned there, unfortunately. I might also have to remind them that they are pinned. We'll have to see. We're not seeing any. Ooh. Yeah, so I'll be back in a second, guys. I'm just going to remind the players that the ARF troopers are pinned. Oh, no. Yeah, okay, so they are spending defensive maneuver as well. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I've just reminded the players that they are pinned. So unfortunately, I think Olek did miss that. And I'll just get rid of the timer here because we're now not syncing up anymore. Okay, so I think they're just going to have a bit of a reset just because, didn't have full information there. So essentially what's happened is one of the ARF troopers was unable to move because of the pin. The other one did move then because they got to remove the pin. And we can still see that defensive maneuver get used as well. And I think we're taking the defensive maneuver back. Yep, that makes sense. All right. So we're going to have a take cover done instead, which will put him on the objective. Yep, just snuck in there. Very nice, very nice. And that one is going to take cover as well. But that could spell disastrous for Olek here. Morgan is now only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away, which is a wound and an objective. We'll see what the priority is. It is a fail, so that's the one that Morgan controls at the moment. And we could potentially see... No, we couldn't see Vader. So who can do it? I don't think Vader can get over there considering he's pinned. So Morgan's just going to have a look at what he's got in the bag at the moment. Vader can't do it, this activation, because he's not going to be able to get over quick enough thanks to the pin. Morgan's already Shatterpointed. He's already used Maul, I believe, or maybe Maul was the Shatterpoint. But now if Maul leaves this objective, he'll no longer control it. So we're just going to have a quick measure with Vader. I think it's probably still worth, going with Vader, considering the fact that you could make yourself 1 away from victory, which would make it very hard for Olek to come back. We'll have to see what happens here. I think you could also just safely draw. I don't think there's actually that much detriment to you leaving Vader for a more pivotal activation, or if you just want to win the struggle with Vader. Yep. So it's the Bounty Hunters. The Bounty Hunters are actually the perfect ones to do it. So what we could do is potentially wound the ARF troopers here and take control of this objective, which is possible considering the ARF troopers only have 6 health remaining. Yep. Ooh, potential W here in 2 struggles for Morgan. So we'll have to see what happens. We will have to see what happens. Yep, so we're moving the front bounty hunter with on the trail first, which will get rid of the pin, and then we're moving the second bounty hunter into a better position, maybe to get a better range on to the ARF troopers here. And we'll see what Morgan does. We might actually get, maybe a focus and just a lot of dice being rolled into the ARF troopers. But note that because Mace is here, this bounty hunter won't be able to attack the ARF trooper unless he's already engaged with it in melee. But I'm not entirely sure if he is. We'll have to measure that in a moment. So this is sort of where the action's happening, guys, right here. Noting that that bounty hunter's not in range either. So we're going to have to get a move action anyway, I think, which will be essentially what Morgan wants, just because at the moment I don't think that the bounty hunter and the ARF on top of the bridge here are actually engaged. Okay. So we'll have to see what happens. We might get a take cover. No, we're just going to get a move. I think the move is fine. It gets you in a good position for some shoves. Gets you away from Mace's engagement range, which is probably what you want, considering that, you know, you want as least amount of units engaged with with Mace as possible. So yeah, I think that's a fair enough play. But I don't know. I think Mace is actually on this objective already, which means that this bounty hunter won't actually be able to get up there, which is pretty... Which basically means that Morgan won't be able to win the struggle on this activation either, I don't think. But we'll see. So we're getting the bottom bounty hunter to shoot first. And let's have a look. 6 dice into 4. There are no more, no longer have a hunker token because they got engaged. So it looks like 4 successes. No. Yep. Well, 3 successes and a damage into 1 success. So 2 going through total. Noting that Mace is still engaged with the unit. So it looks like 2 damage went in, and we're probably going to have a fight in combat now as well. And it's going to be 4 successes plays 2, so 3 crits are going to go through, which actually might be enough. It'll be 3 damage total, which will be enough to wound the ARF troopers. So 4 normally, guys, and then because, of course, Mace is engaged, we will get that down to 3. So that are wounded ARF troopers. We won't be able to get control of the objective just because Mace is already there. But we will get Morgan dangerously close to a struggle win here. So he'll be on the 2 slot, 1 away from the W. So we'll see how we respond. There's nothing else that these bounty hunters can do. So yeah, let's see what happens. What are we thinking of? Yeah, so we're just that's the end of Morgan's activation there. And we could potentially see, unless there's one more thing we could do. Yeah, so he wasn't able to get that objective. So he's 1 away. And we'll see how Olek counters. Let's see what the priority roll is. It is the back left, so where this bounty hunter is. And Mace is in a position where he now can actually start, going to town on these bounty hunters, considering that Morgan only has 1 force, so no more force for the mind trick. So Olek could stay in it. He could get 3 points here. And that would mean that Morgan has to push hard to get it back. He'd need 4 points to win, I think. If Olek goes down to 1, 2, 3, yeah, Morgan would need 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see what we do. The bounty hunters are only 2 away from getting wounded, so it's very, very likely that they get wounded by Jedi Master Mace Windu. So yeah, let me know what you think. We're going to move Queen Padme Amidala with rush to action, and she's going to take flight up this ingress point. So Olek, of course, preparing for struggle 3 and getting as many bodies up on that center objective as possible. And Mace Windu coming down here to bully these bounty hunters. So this is where the action is. We're going to roll some dice. Let's have a look. So Mace Windu is, of course, in his Jedi Master side and not his Vapad side. And we're going to roll 6 into 4. Let's have a look. Pretty good roll for Mace, the expertise tree on him. He's a Jedi Master, so they turn into crits, of course. So 3 crits going through into the bounty hunters, which is going to be enough damage to wound them. And a couple of shoves and pushes, etc. Can make or can mean that Mace gets onto this objective and control it. And of course, no mind trick could have been used there, guys, because Morgan no longer has the 2 force. So that's going to mean that we get a momentum for Olek. So he'll be on the 4 slot with momentum, and he'll get 3 points being on the 1. And Morgan is going to have to score 4 points to essentially win the struggle, which is going to mean he's going to need to control the priority objective and, of course, 1 objective of his own and get a wound for the struggle win. So we'll see what the priority role is here. It is the block, which is the center here. And I don't think Vader is the answer, and I'm not entirely sure what else we've got in the pile. I haven't been able to keep up with that, I'm sorry. I think what we've got left is, I know we've gone with Obi. We have Maul. Maul is a potential. So what we could do is potentially wound this ARF trooper here. Oh no, they're already wounded, aren't they? Yeah, okay, so Maul already has control of this. So Maul could be your answer. He could do a move, he could climb, and he could attack. Actually, he wouldn't even need to attack. He could just get up on the objective there and take control of it. But it depends. Oh, yeah. So I think only Maul is left in the pile, which I think is the win here. Unless we've got maybe Django's in the pile as well. Django's not disastrous, but it's definitely not what you want. You really, really, really need a wound. You really, really need a wound. So who can we search for a wound from? Mace is unlikely to be wounded. The ARFs are wounded. So basically the only good target here is Sabe, who has 6 left, but she's also on the wrong side of the board to sort of achieve what Morgan wants to achieve here. So who have we pulled? Still haven't pulled. So remember, guys, it is either Sabe or... Sorry, it's either Django or Maul in the deck. And then Morgan, of course, has Darth Vader in reserve. And he needs to get 4 points here. So it's close. Goodness gracious, it's close. What do you guys reckon in the chat? Anyone see a play? Anyone see the Matrix as to get Morgan the win here? Or are we picking that Olek inevitably claws this struggle back? What do we reckon? Let's have a look. We're considering all the play patterns, I think. Morgan is considering all the play patterns. Yep, so we're thinking about maybe wounding Padme, who is possible. 9 health. Someone like Maul can do it. And then I think he'd probably also be able to get up on this point to the back here as well. Just because he is fast enough, and no one has control of the objective at the moment because we've got both of these characters are wounded. Has Morgan drawn? No, he's drawn Django. So that's probably not what we wanted to see to win the struggle there. So let's have a look. Here's Django. Morgan controls this objective here with Maul. Technically, Olek controls this objective, but no one's on there at the moment. And Olek controls this objective as well. Okay, so we are going to go with Django, and I think we're probably just going to make his way over to the other side of the board. So Django's really quick. He can double jump, and he can also advance. So he can get over there, but I don't think he's actually going to be able to sort of... He's not going to be able to get a wound on the way, which is, you know, what Morgan wants. So we actually, it looks like we're going to shoot into Sabe here. Yeah, we're going to shoot into Sabe. Try and get some wounds maybe. So it looks like Sabe's blocked 3 and Django's going to get 3 crits through, which is going to be 5 damage and a strain, which is actually going to be the 6 damage that Morgan needs to get the wound there, which is really, really massive. That's going to mean Django heals 2 and also refreshes 2 force, which is, yeah, very strong. Unless Morgan wants to use the jetpack ability instead. But I think he gets the 5 damage plus the strain, which is 6 damage because he already had a strain. Yeah, so that should be the wound on Sabe, assuming that, yeah, Morgan takes the top route. But he could also choose the free ability if he wants. Looks like we're choosing free ability instead. Or unless this is the jump with the extra 2 damage. I'm not entirely sure. Because he gets the strain. Am I counting right? Like, Sabe had 3 first and a strain. And then that means she has 6 health left until she gets wounded, which is going to mean that Django can get 6 because he does 5 damage plus a strain damage as well. So I think that should be the wounded Sabe. But, I mean, if Morgan has a different track that he wants to go, that's obviously his prerogative. So, yep. We're maybe thinking about giving back control of Struggle 2 to Olek. Just trying to think here. Morgan could do a jump, but he's already done a shot. So, yeah, he wouldn't be able to sort of get all the way over and take control of the objective. So he's only going to score 1, which is probably going to mean that Olek wins the struggle. And so Morgan is now setting up for struggle number 3. So, it's anyone's game. What a tight game. Absolutely tight game. And we'll see if how much damage gets done to Sabe. Yep, just 1. Okay. Yeah, I don't think so. Django could have done a jump and then another jump, and I don't think he would have been able to get onto the objective, but it's very close. It's very close. So Olek needs 4 here. He's already got control of that objective, which is nice for him. Let's see who he pulls. He pulls the Naboo Handmaidens, which means that this is going to be their final activation unless he puts them into reserve, considering that they already have 2 wound tokens. So what can we do? We need to get 2 bodies onto this to score the objective. So basically if you get 2 bodies onto this objective here, you're going to win it, or win the struggle. So I think that's probably the play, but I don't know if we can get this one over there. It's close. It's close. And it would cost 3 points for a climb, so that's probably not something that you want to... 3 force points for a climb, I should say. And that might not be something that you want to do. So this is where we're going. Looks like we're going to try and get the wound instead of get onto the objective. Let's have a look at Morgan's ARF troopers. Yeah, they could be wounded here for sure. So they have 6 health left and a pin. So that is a play. Let's have a look at the Handmaidens. They don't have a pin on their tree and they max out at 5. But they can get a lot of hits out, which is nice. So let's see what we do. Looks like we're going to try and put this Handmaiden, who is of course engaged, onto this objective, or at least away from the ARF trooper engaged. Yep. Okay, and we're going to have some shots into the ARF trooper. So if Morgan gets lucky here, he can actually stay in the objective. Oh, sorry, in the struggle. So big dice rolls, and very small dice rolls too. But the Handmaidens have a pretty nice expertise tree. So he's blocked 3 and Morgan's blocked 1. So 2 successes total. 2 successes is, of course, 3 damage. 3 damage. Just bear with me, guys. Okay, so this is the second Handmaiden having a crack at the ARF trooper. Let's have a look at the dice results. We've got 4 successes into 2 blocks. So I think that is going to be enough to wound the ARF troopers. Yep, that is going to be enough. So that is going to be struggle 2 to Olek. So what a comeback. Honestly, I'd written him off there. So yeah, very, very tight little struggle. Very, very tight little struggle there. So the Handmaidens are going to just sort of do a jump, make the most of some movement, and then they're going to essentially win the struggle and then be removed because they have 2 wounds on their card. Wow. Okay. So Morgan's going to be choosing the next struggle layout. So let's see what we get. We're probably hoping for maybe that one. So Maul will own the top, let's have a look at the name. So it's called Commandeer a New Ride. So the center objective is currently owned by Olek. So that's unavoidable, my Morgan. Morgan's top left is owned by no one. So we'll probably want to choose the one where Maul is at the moment, I think. Just because... Oh, but then actually Olek's going to have 2 objectives. Tricky one. I'll be very interested to see what Morgan decides here. Very interested to see what Morgan decides. What would the audience choose? You get Commandeer a New Ride, and this is sort of what you're looking at here. Do you pick Maul and then the central and then the mace, or do you pick the opposite? I feel like maybe you pick the opposite, so where your ARF troopers are. But then if you activate the ARF troopers, they also die. I'm at a loss. I don't know what I would choose. I do not know what I would choose. It's a big struggle. It's a big struggle. Very big struggle. We will see what happens. So it looks like Morgan's choosing, basically ARF trooper, center objective, and top right objective there. There it is. Okay. So what do we go with? We could go with Vader, or I'm not entirely sure who the last objective is. I don't think it's Shatterpoint. It could be Maul. That's right, it was Maul. So we've got a block, and the block is going to be the central objective. So if we choose either Vader or we choose Maul, Vader could get up onto the center objective, as could Maul. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know what the right answer is here, really. Looks like we're going to go Maul. Yeah. So we've drawn Maul for Morgan. We're going to pull Padme off of the middle objective here. Probably have a swing at her. Could also just make it that no one controls the central objective. The ARF troopers are wounded, so they're not going to be able to get there. Just bear with me for 1 minute. Okay, so we've got Maul going. We've pulled Padme off of the central objective. We're going to have a swing at her, I assume. So we're going to roll a bunch of dice into Padme, and we will see what happens. Padme's got no damage on her at the moment. Decent block. That's 3. Whoa, 9 successes. So I have a feeling Maul will get his full tree here, which is pretty interesting. So we're not going to be able to get multiple objectives here, but we probably want to put Maul on a central point as well. You can also see that Morgan has measured range 3 from Django to Padme, so we could actually stop maybe at 8 damage or so that Maul dishes out to Padme, in the hope that we get an activation skip here. But it is dangerous because we've also got Mace on the other side of the board, who could manipulate her range and make sure that she gets where she needs to go. Let me just put the second struggle. Just bear with me. Sorry, I've never commentated by myself, guys, so I'm trying my darndest. So we've got both players winning 1 struggle, and for anyone that's just joined us, this is essentially what we're looking at, and it is the first activation of struggle 3. So we've had Maul go. He's gone up onto the center objective there after pulling Padme, or displacing Padme off of it, and now we've left Padme. I'm not sure how much damage we've done to Padme. This is just the reposition here. No, we've wounded her. So we've done the full number of of wounds there, and I think that is better than trying to force an activation skip with Django, because Olek does have some control over the order of his objectives here, of course. So that's going to be 1 momentum and 2 points to Morgan, and we're left with something for Olek. Let's have a look. We're rolling for priority at the moment. Let me just bring that up. It's going to be the diamond, so it's going to be this back one here, and we've pulled Sabe, which is probably a really good activation for Olek to be able to get this objective up here. Keep in mind that she won't be able to use her loyal protectors for a dash without actually getting wounded here, because she does have a strain and only 2 damage left. And we could actually see Django do not so fast into Sabe to force an activation skip, which would be incredibly detrimental to Olek's plan here. So that is a scary proposition. We have seen that tried to be countered, and we've got Sabe put into reserve there. Yeah, we're probably going to get Padme to basically get Sabe maybe out of range 3 of Django. And we'll see what happens. So Padme's probably going to wake up and take the objective, potentially even try and get some heals out on Sabe to get rid of the strain that she's got, which is really causing Olek a lot of problems. And he wants to take the top right objective here as well. So really tight struggle here, guys. A really tight game. It's been one of the most exciting ones that I've had to watch in a while. So this is really, really exciting here. And yeah, I hope me solo commentating isn't causing too much drama, if any. So yeah. So what we're happening here is Padme activating. She's measuring range to get in range 4 of Vader to maybe try and even get the wound on him, because he's only got 1 health left. And looks like we're just going to attack him straight away. Yeah, and all he needs is 1 crit. And 1 crit is what we get as well. So that's going to be a wounded Vader, which actually might be beneficial for Morgan's long-term plan, because now he can remove the pin at the start of Vader's awoken activation. So yeah, and that is what's happening. Yep. So we've put the wound on Vader. He's going to be exposed and pinned, so he's going to have to choose which one he wants to get rid of at the start of his next activation. And then we've got Padme moving to climb up the ingress point and take the objective. So we've also got a momentum put on Olek's side there as well. Ooh, tight struggle. I'm just going to have a drink of water. All right, let's see how Morgan will respond. So Vader is the last activation, and I think his play pattern is going to be heavily determined by the objective priority. So if we get Maul happy, if we get Padme, then Vader can go and thwack Padme, and if we get the rear objective, then Vader can potentially thwack into Sabe. No, he cannot. Okay, so that interesting play by Olek there. Basically what's happened is he's used Royal Command on his last force to wound Sabe, to prevent Morgan using Not So Fast on her to skip her activation. And the reason that she took damage was because she already had a strain. So very, very tactical play there, and we'll see what can happen in response. It's also going to mean that Morgan has no opportunity to get a wound unless he doesn't go for the priority objective here. Yeah, and looks like Morgan's not going to waste any time. He's just going to walk straight over to the priority objective with Vader. I don't think that there's anyone that he can put conditions on. Everyone on the board is currently wounded except for Mace and Padme. So yeah, there's no sort of target of opportunity there. And we're just deciding whether or not we go for Padme or we go for the priority objective. Same, I guess, point swing here. So we've decided to go for the momentum, and we've decided to go for a wound and the control on the objective. So we're swinging into Padme. Pretty decent roll. So we've got 6 successes on Vader, and we've got 3 successes on Padme. So 3 will go through, which won't be enough for Vader to get the wound. but it will be enough to get the displacement that he needs on Padme to potentially get her off the objective and score 1 point. Oh, well, he'll score 2 because he'll have control of 2 objectives. So Vader's combat tree there, for anyone wondering. He's got 3 successes, so he can do 2 shoves, and that is exactly what we're doing now. So he's going to double push Padme off of the edge there, it seems. Very close to a potential victory here for both players, really. Very interesting tactical play there on Olek's part by deciding to self-wound Sabe with Royal Command. Could have been detrimental, but I guess because of the way that the board had laid out, there was no way for Morgan to get a wound and all 4 objectives. Okay, so we are pulling Sabe for Olek. I'm not entirely sure who the priority objective would be. Looks like it's the back objective still. No, we're rolling for it now. A failure. A failure, it does remain as the back objective. So Olek is going to have to go over there. He has the ability to do so. He can just walk over there with Sabe. So what's triggering right now is she is moving with her Loyal Protectors ability. So at the start of Sabe's activation, everyone that's a handmaiden can do a dash towards the nearest primary character. And we're getting a not so fast trigger off of Django, which will result in 3 damage into Sabe. So some nice chip damage there from Django to try and make her a little bit more squishy for the next activation. And it looks like we're going to try and have a Sabe shot into Django or Maul. And we are choosing, waiting, not entirely sure. Let's just roll. Looks like we're choosing Maul because he's rolling 6 dice on defense. So we've blocked 4 and we've got 5. So it looks like 1 success will be going through, which will only be, let's have a look, a damage and a push, which won't be enough to get Maul off of the objective. But of course, Sabe will be able to walk onto the priority with a take cover. I'd probably just move there. Yeah, I don't think a take cover would be a good idea. And we're going over to the objective and scoring 2. So it's going to put back in the middle. Both players are going to get a momentum. And there is now the potential for Morgan to win the struggle. He just needs 4 points. We've got a block. A block is the central objective, which is under control by Morgan. And we'll see what we get. A Shatterpoint is perfect for Morgan here. So we could go with Maul, displace Sabe off of the edge there. Or we could also just wake up the ARF troopers and walk both of them over to the objective for a less exciting conclusion to the game. But we'll see what we decide. I think we're going for the Maul play here. Yep, so we want a little bit of spice to end our game. We're going to use There Is No Place to Run to pull Sabe off of the objective for a couple of extra damage. And then we're going to probably have a smack into Sabe. And I think that's a more fitting end to the game instead of waking up the ARF troopers and just double walking onto the point to get the victory. We definitely want a little bit of extra spice to finish off our game. And this is how we're going to do it. So it looks like Maul is going to have a crack into Sabe. Or maybe he's just going to move. Who knows? Yeah, okay. So he's already in, and we're probably going to have we're going to have a swack into Sabe to end the game. We'll see how many dice results Maul can roll. He's gone for the big 15. See if he can get a wound. And we are definitely going to get the full tree there on Maul. So what a fitting end to the game, guys. That was an absolutely stellar Shatterpoint game. I hope you really enjoyed it. Please leave us some feedback as to the video. I'm definitely trying to improve as much as I can. It's not always the easiest thing to do solo, but yeah. If you have any feedback at all in terms of camera angles or setup or whatever, please, don't hesitate to let us know in the comments, because I'm also going to upload this onto YouTube. And yeah, thanks so much, guys. I'll see maybe if the players are free for an interview. but I'm not entirely sure if my audio is going to work. So I'll wrap it up there. And yeah, thanks so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you for the final, hopefully, of the first episode of the TTS League. Thanks so much, guys.